Меня били электрическим током, шокером били, как и били других людей.
Били по голове, били по ребрам справа, по туловищу. Также
Электрошокером били по икрам, электрошокером били в разные места, в ноги,
Эмоциональным таким.
били по голове,
А потом
били по ребрам,
спустя уже
правую голень
пытались,
сзади.
время, после
били,
трех
чтобы,
допросов.
хотели, чтобы дал. Это неправильно. То есть я надеюсь на правосудие. Они должны следить за тем, что происходит. Я как раз думал, что я сейчас умру. То есть я хотел жить. Да, я думал, что они меня убьют. Потому что они мне угрожали, они угрожали моей семье расправой. Но вот как раз вот дальше, когда вот они меня душили и били током, вот как раз пару раз, когда я чувствовал, что уже я не могу дышать, они сказали, что ты будешь говорить, я сказал, что да, потому что уже, я боялся за свою жизнь, то есть все, я как бы уже пару раз, я думал, что все, я сейчас, здесь же умру.
Электрошок, резко одели пакет на голову, стали душить. То есть задыхался, то есть не хватало воздуха, начинаешь как бы немножко даже дергаться, потому что у тебя воздуха не хватает. И тут же электрошокером между ягодиц били током, разрядом тока. Также еще в ногу удар был.
В следующий раз, когда они затянули пакет, в тот момент, уже когда я тоже начинал уже задыхаться, уже не оставалось сил, мне зажали рот рукой через пакет и приставили к ягодицам. По всей видимости, это был электрошокер. Недалекий вопрос задали. Трампа любишь, америкос поганый. Я просто был в шоке.
Мне связали руки, меня начали бить по икрам, предметом каким-то твердым. Мне было больно. Затем они начали бить электрошокером, также по икрам, по ногам. Они между ног били в задней части электрошокером. Затем они поливали водой. На ноги также били электрошокером в эти места.
Уполномоченного по правам человека. И только вчера, на 11-й день, мы смогли пройти освидетельствование.
который меня контролирует. Если я слишком далеко от него иду, он сработает. И сразу меня к стенке поставили, руки, значит, на стену прижали, ноги сказали, что нашили на плечи поставить. Ну, так я понял, что, собственно говоря, вот то страшное, что стало происходить в России, стало... Я не могу работать. То есть я был индивидуальным предпринимателем, но как бы это практически все разрушилось, потому что понятно, что заказчиков я потерял всех. То есть я их не могу ни видеть, ни слышать. Понятно, что ко мне никто из них приходить не будет.
Dennis Christensen arrived in good spirits to hear the verdict on Wednesday.
Thank you for coming, everybody. I hope that today will be a day where Russia will defend their religious freedom.
But after cameras and supporters were told to leave the court, the judge in the town of Oriol sentenced the Dane to 6 years for extremism. It's a conviction he intends. Dennis Christensen may be the first Jehovah's Witness to be given jail time in Russia, but he's certainly not the only one in trouble. We filmed worship at their main Moscow meeting hall in 2017, just before Russia's Supreme Court outlawed the Jehovah's Witnesses as an extremist organisation.
Before we were banned, this building was used very intensively, but now, as you can see, it's closed.
Since then, the doors have been shut to them.
We have about 22 people in prison. We had about 100 raids in whole Russia. Many under home arrest, many under investigation.
Why Russia's authorities see the country's 175,000 Jehovah's Witnesses as a threat is something of a mystery.
It's been suggested that they're under suspicion because perhaps they're seen as a Western influence, maybe that they're too independent from the Russian government and the Russian Orthodox Church.
This human rights advocate doesn't want history to repeat itself. He says Soviets and Nazis both trialed religious persecutions with attacks on the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Why have the authorities started with them? It's likely to be a test case to see how society will react. I don't have any illusions about the future of other religious confessions. I think it's only beginning, and it will depend on how much sense people actually have.
The verdict against Dennis Christensen is a disgrace. It's shocking that in post-Soviet Russia, authorities are putting people through the ordeal of a criminal investigation and prison for nothing more than a peacefully practicing their faith.
His case is emblematic of the grave human rights violations, including the rights to freedom of expression, peaceful assembly, and religion in the country.
Armed police detaining Christensen, a 46-year-old builder, in May 2017 at a prayer meeting some 200 miles south of Moscow. Christensen had pleaded innocent, saying he was exercising freedom of religion guaranteed in Russia's constitution. And this is what his wife had to say.
The Constitution says one thing, that we have full rights to freely gather and freely practice our religion, but in reality, it's not the case.
And the Jehovah's Witness Israel representative, Alex Fredrickson, joins me in studio. Alex, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, what do you make of the fact that Russia has classed a Jehovah's Witness as an extremist group?
Well, I'm very saddened of this great misrepresentation of Jehovah's Witnesses. We are not extremists.
Why do you think that they've classed it as such?
Well, it really surprises me. I don't really know why. Jehovah's Witnesses around the world were registered in over 180 countries as a registered religion. We're known for being good citizens, peaceful people. We want to help the community. So I don't understand why we're being treated this way in Russia.
But what do you understand as the perceived threat? Of course, you're saying that you're there to do no harm, but there's obviously a sense of threat by Russia that they are classing it as an extremist group. What's your understanding of that?
Well, again, it's very, it's hard to understand. And even I feel the Russian government doesn't understand why. Right now on the Kremlin website, you can read a quote from Vladimir Putin. He's quoted as saying he doesn't understand why Jehovah's Witnesses are being labeled as extremist. And it just shows there's a problem in the law on extremism there. The way the law is written, it's written in a very broad way that allows really anyone to be labeled as extremists.
Now, I understand that this is not new for Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. In fact, it goes back to the Soviet era.
That's correct. I was going to bring this up too, that this is not new for Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. In the Soviet era, because Jehovah's Witnesses are neutral in politics, they refused to get involved in the Communist Party. And for that, they were put on boxcars and sent to Siberia to work camps.
What I have is that there are about 170,000 followers in Russia. What does this mean for Russian Jehovah's Witnesses now with this ban, I suppose, or the fact that the religion has been classed as illegal? What will this mean for their ability to practice their faith?
It's very difficult. For one thing, all of our properties that were used for meeting together for worship have been seized. That's tens of millions of dollars in property have been seized by the Russian government. So they're not able to meet in large groups. They can only meet together in small groups. But in addition to that, in addition to Dennis Christensen being imprisoned, there's others that are in house arrest. There's ones that their travel documents have been taken. And so they're not able to leave the area, all because they're being labeled extremists. Additionally, there's been many raids on homes and searches on homes. I think over 260 families have experienced raids on their homes, sometimes in the middle of the night. Imagine this. You're awakened by a bang on the door by masked officers with guns at midnight. They come into your home, search everything you have, take your electronic devices, your travel documents, and they're there for hours. So this is what some are having to face, but again, we're confident that Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia, they have a strong desire to continue to worship Jehovah faithfully and peacefully.
Senators have approved a bill that would allow South Carolina to execute inmates by electrocution or a firing squad. Right now, lethal injections are the main way the state kills death row inmates, with the electric chair as an option that inmates can choose. But the state's had trouble for several years now getting companies to sell them the lethal injection drugs. That's part of the reason the state hasn't executed anybody in nearly 8 years.